Now, to be honest, I wasn't quite expecting to get much information about our new favorite kid in the anime season here, but I mean, to see the reveal of kind of like why she views someone like Mao as her father, given he was the one who planted the crescent-shaped rock, stone, whatever you want to call it, this fragment. The big question definitely I think people would have is ultimately like, well, that explains why she views him as dad, given he is the one who planted the seed, all things considered, in terms of leaving it in the demon realm and growing into some weird apple thing that then hatches into a kid. So why would she view Emmy as her mother? The only thing that would make sense, unless they're gonna throw us a giant curveball, is that the person who ended up saving our boy Mal when his village was wiped out as a kid has to be related to Emmy. Otherwise, there would be no reason for her to consider Emmy her mother. It's not like it was because she was the first one she saw or anything. Like, she felt that way well before that. So I imagine it'll be like a grandmother, mother, sister, something in that area dynamic, and that's why the woman who saved Mao, who gave the crescent-shaped rock, therefore if she's related to Emmy, that would then explain why Emmy is her so-called mama. The whole idea that he planted the rock would be why she considers him papa. It would all make sense in that way, but I'm always willing to the possibility of a curveball. But nonetheless, the reveal of the fragment and what she actually represents, basically declaring war on heaven and earth and hell, and it's just the whole shit's going to hell there. I mean, for a man who is pretty weak, all things considered, and to have someone who says, even if you were at your full power, you probably couldn't beat me, that's not a bluff. I firmly am convinced that this dude is, despite having a very childlike innocence where he gets upset when people are mad at him and he kind of pouts and stomps, the dude seems like a tank. It's not an exaggeration, I don't believe. I do like, though, that they're already revealing some pretty big questions surrounding this parent-child dynamic that seems so unnatural, especially given the fact that you have the hero and the devil essentially being parents. Like, how does that work out? And the way they're revealing it, I actually like it a lot more than just if it was an accidental misunderstanding where something was programmed into her to think one thing, and the fact that, he's the one who planted the rock, it kind of makes me more intrigued with this plotline, because what I was kind of expecting up to this point was that there'd be like a separation arc, because the true parents would pop up or something like that, and then she'd be ripped away. They might go rescue her, but she'd have to leave. But with the way they're kind of going about it, it almost feels like an adoptive family storyline that has like a connection of like they really are her parents, just not in the traditional sense. But when you're dealing with heaven and earth and the hell and everything else, I mean, you're not always going to have the most natural of childlike relationships. But it was a pretty great episode for revealing information while setting in motion a lot of interesting plot points, especially romance subplot points that I wasn't expecting. I mean, also being one of my favorite characters in this show, seeing him all throughout this episode get sick to his stomach, whether it's because he bought a $25 hat, to just seeing all the things that he's spending hard-earned money on, and, coming home and seeing that goddamn it Lucifer ordered another goddamn pizza after I told him not to. But the fact that he seemingly is kind of building into this, like, interesting romance I wasn't expecting. Of course, he's oblivious to it. But to see the ragtag team of, like, you have Chi, who, of course, where her feelings lie. Also, who just is trying to make sure his lord doesn't waste money. And then you have the coworker kind of like pop up, and I wasn't really expecting her to kind of build that kind of romance in the way that happened in this episode, but just seeing them get like kind of pushed on the Ferris wheel by themselves, it was really sweet to see how they progress that. I'm honestly interested to see if, they would pursue it a lot this season or not, given that we are already in episode 3 and they're already getting the main thing really front and center in terms of the secrets about this kid and everything. So they would have room, I would think, to explore it a little more, as long as they're not in the middle of life or death situations. I was pretty surprised to see Chi pop up and literally use herself as a human meat shield, but leave it to this girl. I mean, even though she's pouting, even though she's pretty upset by not being the mother in this situation, the girl's love is definitely not superficial. She very much is in love with Mao, and it's interesting to see how far she'll go to pursue that. But even though this episode definitely revealed a lot with the fragments, like the whole idea that both they want the kid and Emmy's sword, and the fact that they're not going back until they get it, I don't know how they would ultimately defeat them unless like they decide to run, but maybe they'll find a way to delay it, because they delayed it by a day. Maybe they can continue to do so, like, hey, maybe until we have our answers and then we'll give you the kid, but they don't really want to give the kid, but maybe like they'll lie their way out of it. That's a possibility. But I mean, the violent side of me is hoping we do get an action scene, because when we do see action in the show, it's pretty damn fantastic. And also just seeing the violent nature of like what happened in Mao's backstory. There was a lot of great plot details, but a good half of this episode was just watching this family interact together. You have Emmy, who's very tsundere, I hate everything about this outside of the kid, and you're my enemy, I'm going to kill you, like, it. But then just to see how she would be thrown into it, like, she was kind of like the bitchy mother who's like, 3 tickets, please, and the poor dude who had to serve them is just like, god damn, that mama be scary. But then you have the kind of like, very cool, calm, and collected dad with Mao, who would give this kid anything she wants, and just to see how he spoils and like pampers over her, it was a really sweet episode for that, and that's kind of what I was expecting. And then you get the whole reveal of the woman popping up and curing her after she has this violent fit after basically saying these names we don't really recognize, and then you realize that because the colors represent who she considers to be these friends or accomplices from the fragments that she's a part of, it's just really cool to see how they're introducing so many plot relevant things in what should be a pretty slice of life, not too important episode. Really, I think most of us were probably expecting this just to be the date episode, that they'd go on a little vacation, they would have some fun, they would bicker, and then they'd come home, maybe tease us with a cliffhanger, because I mean the portal thing that was teased last week, that was probably going to be pretty relevant. But no, they decided to do so much at this amusement park, which progressed the secrets about this child, but also the relationship to these 2 characters who come from 2 very different walks of life and have never slept together, but apparently have a kid that came from some apple. And how the hell that works, I mean, only the devil or God might know. But it was crazy to see how much they actually decided to do with the plot while just being one of the best slice of life episodes that The Devil is a Part-Timer has seen to date. The only real negative I would say about this episode is that we didn't get to see the finale of the Power Rangers play that they decided to go to. It was actually pretty cool. I like the choreography when it came to the action, and even though obviously it was like fake for their world, you know, the way they'd fall off the ledge and stuff, I thought it was pretty cool. So it was a little shame that she had her outbreak pretty much just as it was getting going, because not gonna lie, kind of got into that, all things considered. Definitely some of the best facial reactions. I mean, Alciel cracked me the hell up throughout this entire episode, just seeing him just one step away from being a zombie in a Walking Dead episode or something, just seeing how stressed he was. To just the numerous, like, bitchy glares, oh my god glares. I mean, my poor boy Mao got not only sucker punched by Emmy, but then got blasted into the wall, and I gotta say, the animation in that moment, or those moments I should say, was pretty damn fantastic. But it was an oddly violent romantic episode with some slight hints of heartbreak, like, you know, the whole family dynamic is about to crumble, and I think it's about to crumble a lot quicker than potentially we expected. But if they're able to push him back one more time, there might be a way to keep this kid around, but at the same time, I just don't see how if they're not going to leave until they get what they want, and they're not more powerful by the looks of it, so I don't know what they want to pull, but I'm excited, if not a little worried, to see where they go from here. But thoughts down below, what did you think of this episode, all the information that was revealed? Do let me know. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.